Last time on Smallville Season 11, right here at Comicstorian, we learned the new status quo as Superman discovered that Lex Luthor had no memories of anything that had happened in Seasons 1 through 10. We then met this universe's Batman and Nightwing. We then saw what happened to Bart Allen and his eventual fate. We then went to the future, where we discovered where Kara had gone with the Legion of Superheroes. And then, in our recent episodes, we discovered this universe's Wonder Woman, and how the DEO is currently trying to arrest her with Steve Trevor working for them, and Steve Trevor had at one point dated Lois Lane. With Diana being hauled away in cuffs willingly, being told that if she came with them she would discover the location of her mother, we were left on a cliffhanger last time. This is the Comicstorian channel, where we are deep diving into the Smallville Season 11 series, which is a comic book which tells you what happened after the show ended. We bring it to you as an audio drama, allowing you to experience the story at your own leisurely pace. And today, we are going to bring you the conclusion to Smallville, Volume 5. Another blast of energy rips through Diana's body, bringing a gasp of pain from her lips. "Is this what you've done to my mother?" she struggles to state, as Director Bones flips the switch on her torture device. He shuts it down and Diana sags in her restraints, smoke curling off her body. "I hate doing it, I really do. But I'm being blackmailed by a man named Faust." Bones explains that his unit discovered an artifact during World War II and made a deal with a voice from the other side. "Made a deal with whom?" Diana asks as another jolt of energy courses through her. "Closest thing to the devil I've ever seen," Bones responds, cutting the machine off again. "Hades," Diana gasps. She asks him why he's even allying himself with Faust in the first place. "The why is twofold," he tells her, ticking off the reasons on his fingers. "Faust needs you out of play for whatever he's planning, and I need to know what makes your kind tick," he tells her. Faust throws the switch and the energy once again courses through her body. But suddenly, over the crackle of electricity, she can hear a voice with her God-gifted hearing. "Stay strong, Diana, and hold on, while I look for your mother," Clark whispers from a different part in DEO headquarters. "Mr. Kent?" a voice greets him, and he looks up to find a woman who introduces herself as Special Agent Cameron. "Here to finish the tour, I assume?" Clark nods, shaking her hand, and the woman leads him through the base, dodging the questions about a super being illegally detained, and then they pass by a group of purple-robed monks. "Are these monks?" Clark asks simply, and Agent Cameron explains that they are fully paid celestial specialists that chant a harmonic frequency that keeps the spooky out. Clark nods, looking around the area with his X-ray vision, and he finally spots a room that might hold what he's looking for. "You'll have to excuse me, I think my lunch is coming back to haunt me," he jokes, trying to look as though he may be turning sick. Agent Cameron points him in the right direction and Clark quickly disappears. But using his super speed, he makes his way down to B-15, blasting through the security lock with his heat vision. "Diana, if you could still hear me, I just found the closet where the DEO keeps its skeletons." He steps into the shadow-shrouded vast room, and around him, there are various creatures covered in cloth. "Did you find her?" Diana gasps as another blast of energy courses through her. Bones stops, looking up. "Who, dear?" Clark keeps whispering as he pulls back a cloth, revealing Diana's mother floating in suspended animation. Sirens begin to sound throughout the base as the security team pipes through to Bones, warning him about a threat coming in through the water. In the black room, Clark is suddenly thrown aside as the walls quake and cave inward. A massive tentacle slips its way in, followed by the jaws of a roaring beast. "Pardon me, but I'm not interrupting anything, am I?" Faust asks, floating in on his magical bubble. In the torture room, the warning lights flash as sirens wail and Bones hits the intercom demanding an update and receiving a response from Agent Cameron. "We're under siege from a hostile force!" she shouts at him, firing her weapon at the attackers. The black-clad soldiers move fast, pinning down the agents and taking out the monks as they go. Bone hisses at Faust's betrayal, pulling out his own service weapon and heading into the room. While back on the main floor, Agent Cameron tries to pull some of the monks to safety as the bullets fly around them. Yet, too many have fallen and the magic wardings won't hold for much longer. Alone, Diana flexes her muscles, ripping the torture machine apart. Back in the black room, Faust floats towards the suspended form of the Queen of the Amazons. "Finally!" he smiles with glee. "After the tiara or just the jewel?" a voice calls to him from the room. The wizard turns, seeing Clark Kent on the floor. He blasts him with magic, pulling him into the air, and he tells him that the jewel is the Eye of Ares, which was crafted by Zeus himself to trap his brother in a hell of his own making. "Greek gods?" Clark struggles as he drifts into the air, trapped and helpless to magic. Higher beings. You can call them gods if you'd like, Faust tells him offhandedly. Bones suddenly rounds the corner into the room, not hesitating to open fire on the wizard. I don't care what deal we all made with Hades. I'm not going to let you end the world, Faust, he shouts, but the bullets stop before Faust, and he smiles, using his magic to drift them through the air almost lazily. Finally, he throws them back at the director, piercing him and dropping him to the floor. With a flick of his hand, he throws Clark across the room, crashing through one of the pillars. He then floats forward, reaching his hand into the cube that Hippolyta floats in, grasping the jewel. Throwing it to the floor, he smashes it with his staff. I will not delay any longer. Within Washington, the ground begins to quake, splitting the earth, with buildings beginning to shake and people running around screaming as the world opens beneath their feet. From the ground, Hades arises. It is so nice to see the stars once again, he growls as he steps once more into the world of man. Such beauty within the heavens. In the black room, Faust turns as a new voice shouts over the destruction around them. Get away from my mother! Diana yells, leaping across the room, punching him across the face. Faust falls at the strength of the blow, but his magic heals him within seconds. He looms over Diana, cradling her mother in her arms. But Clark stands there, blasting the wizard with his heat vision. He comes over to the Amazons, leaning down to make sure that they're okay. Diana, I know you've been searching for your mother for a long time, but we need to prioritize. He picks up the queen and they begin to run as Faust's creature continues to roar and thrash behind them. I need to get topside to deal with Hades. I can hear the screams from here. Magic and I don't get along at all. To be honest, I'm a little out of my depth here. Can I count on your help? He asks, pulling his suit off, revealing the symbol beneath. Diana hesitates, looking down at the mother that she searched endlessly for. I don't know. With all due respect, figure it out, Clark says as he blurs away as Superman. Beneath the waters of the lake that hides the DEO, the creatures thrash, and suddenly the skin begins to glow white hot, with Superman bursting through it with a blast of his heat vision, flying towards the surface and the destruction that Hades is causing. At the reflecting pool, Hades steps out onto the waters, staring up at the Washington Monument, marveling that mankind still wishes to pursue godhood. Overhead, helicopters spotlight both Hades and Faust, with the wizard turning, throwing his magic at the SWAT team. Hades smiles, for he has brought his own army to assault the armies of man. The ground begins to rumble in the nearby Arlington Cemetery, and the dead begin to raise up to serve their new master. In the city, Lois, Steve, and General Lane are driving when the general suddenly has to swerve to avoid a zombie in the streets. And then they watch as people are running scared. Bones in that damn black room of his. Steve curses, and the zombies begin to close in when suddenly a gust of super breath freezes them in their tracks. Superman floats above the city, looking down at the destruction below him, and he taps the comms, pulling out word to the Watchtower and his allies. If anyone back in Metropolis or any Watchtower hubs are receiving this message, pretty sure I'm gonna need backup for this one. Back at the reflecting pool, the helicopters open fire on the Greek god below them. Hades but smiles, turning to his wizard. Loyal Faust, deal with this nuisance, won't you? The wizard flicks his hand, turning the police around them into his loyal harpies. The creatures rise, attacking the chopper, and they begin to bring it down. But Hades turns, sensing a power before him. It would seem the humans have a new champion, a being not quite of this world or any I've known. He smiles, and Superman streaks faster towards the god. They call him Superman, my lord, Faust tells his master, with Hades smiling, calling forth powerful magic from the other side. Energy crackles and winds rage as a creature from the other side begins to rise. Back in the black room, Queen Hippolyta pushes the medics off of her, yelling that the DEO has done enough, and she turns to her daughter. Daughter, let us be gone. The affairs of this land are not of our concern. But Diana disagrees. She explains to her mother that Hades has been unleashed, and it will not be long before he arrives on the shores of Themyscira. She pulls on her mother's armor, grasping the lasso of truth. What will you do? Her mother questions. Diana places her mother's tiara on her head, grasping the sword and shield. I will do what my mother once did. I will fight. The monsters rage in Washington, D.C., with Superman trying to evade the creature's attacks, but he is in well over his head. He looks up to see Air Force One cruising overhead, with the wings of it being attacked by harpies, but he flies fast, pulling the creatures away, saving the president and his family. A quick tap on the glass in Morse code informs the president that Superman will deal with the situation. Go get him, son, the president whispers as he watches the Man of Steel streak away. Back at the DEO headquarters, Agent Cameron tries to load her pistol as one of the soldiers comes right towards her. Suddenly, a rope of golden light wraps around the man, yanking him away. So Diana comes charging in out of the smoke, attacking the soldiers head on. Her blade slashes and her fists fly. And outside, the army tries to ward off the zombies as Superman flies overhead. With a deep breath, he charges at Hades' magical monster, but the creature turns, knocking the Man of Steel aside with his massive fists. He lands in the reflecting pool, drifting for a moment. Okay, that hurt, he gasps, and Hades stalks towards the Man of Steel, lifting him out of the waters. What a curious specimen you are. Decidedly not of this earth, though not quite of the new gods either. Superman knocks the god's hand away, rearing back for a punch, and the blow stumbles Hades, yet the god quickly recovers. Superman floats before him. And you aren't a god either, just another being from another dimension with designs of bullying mortals into submission. Superman rushes in for another attack, but Hades is fast, knocking him away. It has worked time and time again, Starchild. Humanity didn't have me before, Superman tells him, struggling to his feet, yet Hades simply sighs, snapping his fingers, and the fists of a massive creature begins to roar down, slamming Superman hard into the ground. Faust floats inward, warning Hades of an approaching danger. I will deal with Hippolyta, as I have just dealt with their last supposed champion, he tells his servant. No, Faust warns him, it is her daughter. As Lois, Steve, and General Lane are driving to the city, though, their Humvee's roof is suddenly ripped free and a harpy reaches in, grabbing Steve, pulling him clear. The soldier struggles, firing his weapon, but he is carried off. Hades, on the other hand, is marching forward through his undead army, and he takes his place on the throne of the Lincoln Memorial. Diana suddenly lands on the steps, her sword and shield in hand. Hades! How dare you defile the sacred dead? But the god merely laughs. I merely gave them a purpose once again. He motions to the harpies that hold Steve Trevor before him. Stand down and bow before your lord and master, else your mortal love shall know oblivion and join the ranks of those you now oppose. But Diana, she charges forward, her sword slashing and her shield bashing against the undead. She warns Hades with each blow that should he harm Steve Trevor, I will act as a fury and wing you back to Tartarus on the tip of my sword. The god smiles as he watches her advance. An Amazon, defying one of her gods to honor a man. Perhaps I've been away far too long. But Diana swings again, dropping another soldier. I do not fight for this man, I fight for all of mankind. Hades steps out of his throne, standing tall over Diana's head. She does not stand a chance, even with the power of the gods coursing through her veins. She's not alone. Superman grunts as he lifts the creature's fist off his body. The monster topples and falls as he throws the arm away, and then he floats down, landing to stand at Wonder Woman's side. Hades stops, surveying the two warriors that stand against him, and finally, he raises his arms. Defend your master! He orders his legions. The zombies and the harpies attack, and Wonder Woman leaps into fight as Superman blasts away with his heat vision. We have to defeat Hades! Yeah, no kidding! As they fight, Diana explains that they must send Hades back to Tartarus, but the only way to do that is to kill the soul that tethers him to this plane. The two finally disperse the army, and with two super claps, they stand once more before the god. So to defeat Hades, we have to kill Faust? Diana nods. But Superman won't kill, and he launches himself at the god. He dodges a blow, landing behind him and wrapping his arms around Hades. And in a blur, he launches himself and the god into the air, carrying him straight into space. The two beings begin to float above the earth, staring out into the vastness of space. Superman showing Hades the endless eternity. At any point, I can throw you out into the stars, into the breadth of 28 unknown galaxies. Hades' eyes grow wide as he stares into the heavens. An eternity, tumbling in the void, no kingdom to rule, only silence, only cold, only endless life, spent watching every light out there in the dark blink out of existence. Superman's voice grows hard and cold in the darkness of space. You have until the count of 3 to say uncle, and go back to hell with your tail between your legs. Superman makes it to 2 before Hades finally lowers his head. I yield. He turns, throwing the god back to Earth. Fire engulfs Hades as he re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, and beneath him, the Earth begins to open, creating a portal to the lands of hell. Faust sits on the edge, looking down into the pit as his master plummets below. Yet, Diana is behind him. Fret not, wizard. Before you share your deity's fate. She smiles, knocking him into the pit before it can close. Hades' creatures fall back to the earth, and the zombies once again disappear, and the two heroes stand together, with Steve joining them. What's next? He asks, and the three turn, surveying the destruction around them. That's a really good question. The next morning, the president addresses the people of America on the roof of the White House. Superman and Diana look out over the city. Superman tells her that he has fought with beings within the last year that have been close to gods as anything else. Diana nods, telling him that the people of Earth see them as gods themselves. That doesn't sit well with this farm boy, he tells her with a smile, but she just nods. Having descended from trans-dimensional Greek god beings, maybe I'm better equipped to just go with it. She smiles. He lets her know that his allies will be setting up a watchtower hub within the city if she plans on staying stateside. The sun rises on the horizon, and it bathes her face in the warm light of the future. After much discussion with my queen, I've decided to stay here as an envoy and representative to the sovereign nation of Themyscira. She knows that the world of man might fear them, but she and her sisters should be embraced. I will prove to the world that any who act on the beliefs of pursuit and justice can make a difference. And later, at Andrews Air Force Base, Queen Hippolyta steps forward to get on board the DEO jet that will take her home. And at the last second, she stops, turning back. When will I see you again, Agent Prince? She asks her daughter, standing amongst the other DEO agents. And Diana smiles at her mother, finally embracing her for a hug. Not soon enough. The jet takes off, and Diana's thoughts are interrupted by her new commanding officer. Ladies and gentlemen of the DEO, it's time we get back to work. Steve Trevor tells them as he steps forward. Hop to it, people. We got a world to protect. But that night, the president steps from the White House onto the lawn. He's been told that he has a visitor, and is greeted by his Secret Service aiming their weapons into the sky, where he sees Superman floating overhead. Sorry to wake you, Mr. President, Man of Steel tells them. And with a wave of his hand, the president orders his men to stand down and put away their guns. Stand down, fellas. You saved my life last night. Just doing my job, sir. Superman lands in front of the president, prepared to finally deliver the news that he has discussed with his mother and Lois over the last day. Sir, you may call me Kal-El of Krypton, and I am an alien. And that concludes Smallville, Volume 5. Next up is going to be Smallville Volume 6 and Volume 7, and if I remember off the top of my head, Clark is going to be getting a Green Lantern ring very soon, and we're going to learn where Hal Jordan is in this universe. Also, we're then going to discuss continuity, because the last volume is called Continuity and how it all fits together. I hope you guys have been enjoying this ride. We've still got between 4 to 6 different episodes left to do, so we're not near the ending. And if you want to get more of these episodes, consider subscribing to the channel. If you subscribe and turn on that bell with notifications, you'll get noticed whenever we make new videos and put them out. And we follow things like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Deadpool, all the superheroes that you want to see right here at the channel. You can also get early access if you go to our Patreon or YouTube memberships. Thank you for your time and your support. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, let me know in the comments down below, Benny, I want more Smallville, because we need that algorithm to see that you guys want more Smallville. And hit me up on Twitter at Comicstorian, where we can talk about your favorite moments of this week's Smallville episode. I'll see you later.